everybody. I know in the last video I talked about the carry optics match that I did. It was my first time competing in a USPSA match. But I just wanted to talk about a couple things that I did to prepare for it. One thing that I did do is I took a class with Billy Barton from Spec Train, and I cannot recommend enough for you to go out there and take a class. Even if you're an experienced shooter, if you're an intermediate shooter, maybe even an advanced shooter, to take a private lesson and go in one-on-one with an instructor, especially a grandmaster shooter like Billy Barton is, and really just hone in on some of my skills that I personally wanted to work on. The thing that I really liked about Billy was, I said, treat me like I've never shot before and kind of see where I'm at, you know, within mind that I do want to compete one day, but overall, I mean, we do this because we just want to get better at shooting, right? You just want to, you know, get your skills better and all that stuff. He took me in at 5 yards, made me shoot some shots. I was like, all right, back up 5 yards, and we kept backing up 5 yards. And that was because at close range, I'm a decent shooter, not great. I'd say intermediate. I had a really good group size. 10 yards, I had a good group size. 15 yards, I had still a decent group size. But at 25 yards, that's where you really start to see where you have some bad habits. I'll put it that way, based on the groupings. Well, I can't see, and I don't know what the hell it means when I got shots here and shots there, but Billy was able to immediately say, that's because you're doing this wrong, because you're doing that wrong. Within that, we really just worked fine-tuning my grip, my trigger pull, everything. He gave me a ton of dry fire exercises to do at my house, which I do quite often. As you see, I have little shooting targets all over the place and my little pacer stickers everywhere as well. So as I'm on the phone, working, doing whatever, just sitting around, I'm always practicing, aiming at something, working on my trigger pull, and trying to acknowledge where my dot's going. Is it going to the left? Is it going down? Is it going to the right? And based on that, I'm learning how to adjust my grip to make sure that the dot doesn't move when I pull the trigger. One of the things that I think I was in the habit of doing before I took the class was pulling the trigger ever so slightly and then trying to keep the dot perfectly there. But in reality, when you're shooting at a USPSA match, or let's just say in self-defense, are you pulling that trigger very soft? No, you're not. You're pop, pop, pop. You're pulling it as hard as you could. So that's something that I've been doing now when I dry fire, pulling as hard as I could to try to recreate the situation that I'm going to be in, whether it's self-defense or whether I'm at a USPSA match and I'm trying to, you know, work for time and stuff like that. So here's a couple of little drills that I do around my house. As you can see, I work from target to target. I'll stay on one, make sure my dot's not moving. Once I get that right, I go and I start moving around, trying to see the target before I get the dot there, so that by the time I do get the dot there, I'm ready to pull the trigger. Obviously, it's tough with dry firing because you can't just keep racking the slide in between hand because you're not shooting any ammo. But you do the best you can. I'm pulling the trigger as hard as you can, just working to see where that dot is. It's also tough because you have to train to not look at your dot, to look at the object you're trying to shoot. So I try to keep my eyes focused on that, but just also acknowledging where the dot's moving. Just a couple little things that I worked on. Something else that I've been kind of practicing is my draw time. I'll set my timer for like 1.75 seconds, let's say, and I try to make a draw, pull the trigger within that time. Then I try to lower that to like 1.65. See if I could draw my firearm and pull the trigger within a 1.65 time frame. It's just something that I think can help you. It's something just to work on, you know, drawing from a holster, just because I shoot a lot more at indoor ranges where you're not allowed to draw from a holster. So I try and practice so that when I do get to competitions, I'm very comfortable and that becomes second nature. Try and do it for 5 to 10 minutes a day. Try and do it little breaks between my work. When I'm taking my lunch break, I'll get up and just draw, let's say 50 times. You know, just every little bit that you practice and consistently practice makes you better in all these areas. And then when you do which I'm not there yet, so I'm not trying to pretend like I'm better than I am. But I hope that by doing this and practicing my dry firing, working on my grip, working on my trigger pull, practice my drawing from my holster, eventually this should come together and then everything will be in unison the more you do it. It's like any other sports. If you play sports, you know technique is number one, and you know that is drilling. Drill, drill, drill. Everything is drilling, everything is repetition, everything is practicing and consistency. So just wanted to share that with everybody. Take it for what it's worth. Yeah, and hopefully I'll catch you guys next time.